Hey guys. Yeah, I thought I'd do this real quickly. Um, just to give you my thoughts on Super Showdown. Originally, my intention was to try to get up and watch it live, as crazy as that sounds. And legitimately, I didn't even know this. I mean, I know they put pay per view under the Super Showdown title, but legitimately, I thought, okay, it'll probably just be it's pay per view maybe for Australia and England and stuff like that. Because the last time they did one of these shows, which was the Greatest Royal Rumble, that was mainly a network special. I did not see anything through the Xfinity guide, the Xfinity slash Comcast menu guide on my TV that said anything about it being on pay per view. So I figured the same thing here. Because I remember when they put Greatest Royal Rumble pay per view for that one, it was mostly because it was going to be pay per view for certain parts of the world. Other parts would be part of the network. Um, Here, not so much because I ended up looking on my menu guide just out of curiosity, my Xfinity slash Comcast menu guide on television, on my television, and lo and behold, for about $54.99, $54.99, or $64.99, you could order Super Showdown from 1:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on channels 870 and 871. And I was like, okay, so this was a legitimate pay-per-view. And I even mentioned that to Dalyxman in a super chat, and he basically told me, yeah, he was aware of that too. But I thought otherwise. But the one benefit of it being on the network is you could watch it at your pace. Especially if you watch the replay and watch it later. You know, because a lot of us, I guarantee, woke up way after it was done or just as it was ending and decided to turn it on later, about an hour or so later, because I think it takes about 30 minutes to an hour for WWE to put the replay of a pay-per-view event or pay-per-view like caliber event on the network. So anyway, I waited to watch the replay, and like I said, the benefit of it being on the network is you could watch a show like this whenever you choose to. You can watch it whenever you want. You could pause it. You could stop it, resume it at your own pace. So I ended up watching a majority of it at first, and I will agree that the first half felt a little. The first half basically felt a little downgraded. Like, you could tell in a sense that this was a typical house show, glorified house show, as some people put it. I mean, yes, the staging looked great and everything. We got some pyro and all that, but still, you take all those accessories and pyrotechnics and all that away, you kind of put that to the side, and it is basically a glorified house show. So, yeah, the first half of this 4 hour show, which was originally supposed to be 5 hours, but it actually turned out to be 4 hours, was the New Day against the Bar. And it was a good match. The Bar did dominate through some of it. They did acknowledge Kofi Kingston as one of the longest reigning tag team champions of all time, or in recent memory, because of his combined reigns with different teams and partners. In the end, the New Day ended up winning with what looked like a backstabber slash coup de grace like finisher. So the New Day ended up winning, retaining their championships. The next match, I think, on the card was the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was Becky Lynch against Charlotte. This was good. This is really good. Becky Lynch, of course, doesn't use the steam anymore or anything like that. Just comes out, saunters to the ring, you know, being proud that she's champion. And these girls had a good match. Becky dominated a majority of it. Then it really picked up in the second portion of it. But I think the ending is where a lot of people got PO'd. Because the ending was basically what a lot of fans like Alex, Dalyxman, Jason Solomonster, good mic work, Don Tony, Kevin Castle, a lot of people may criticize as being a downgrade for this match. Even Jeff Meacham, Aaron Rift, NoDQ.com, would all agree to be, Chase Oliver. I know I'm name dropping a lot of people here, but they would all agree. Even Mike Rout of the original OTRS Central would all agree that the finish is not what fans wanted to see, because what happened is towards the end of the match, Becky Lynch rolls out of the ring, goes to grab her championship, and tries to leave. Charlotte stops her. They get back in the ring, and right at the end, Charlotte locks in the figure 4 and bridges it into the figure 8. Now, Becky is trying her best to get to the ropes, crawl, break the hold. So what happens instead? Instead of her doing that and continuing the match and getting us a legitimate winner, instead she notices her championship, and she grabs it and starts whacking Charlotte's leg with it. So she gets DQ'd. Becky Lynch gets DQ'd, and as a lot of fans kind of complain, took the cowardly way out, which a lot of fans did not want to see. They did not want to see Becky go that route because they're looking at her as being presented as this anti-hero, stone cold like bad ass or bad lass, if you will, or badass or bad lass kicker, whatever you want to call, or last badass kicker, whatever you want to call her. And they didn't like it. They didn't like how this was done. I mean, yeah, she got the upper hand in the post-match brawl at the end, but they didn't like what happened. They didn't like how the match ended. So, yeah, WWE basically achieved somewhat of what they wanted. They got people to be upset with Becky's character, especially the direction. But I mentioned this in a super chat with Dalyxman, with Alex, and I said, and one thing I mentioned in the super chat was, I wonder who, and I kind of did it as a humorous question. I said, I wonder who booked Becky Lynch's DQ. I asked that in a question. I'm like, I wonder who booked Becky Lynch's DQ. And then afterwards I said, Alex knows. And Alex's response was, oh, you didn't know? Which kind of gives you the idea that we pretty much know that it was probably Road Dogg that was behind it, because when they go overseas or something like that, or across the world, they take certain members of the booking and creative team with them. And even though that booking and creative team could have notes about what's going on one show or the other, they have the final say in how things are booked, because, they're the ones in charge of that show when the other creative team and booking team is not there. So obviously if Road Dogg was in charge of this, then yeah, not a lot of fans were happy. So yeah, basically not a lot of people were thrilled with the way Becky was booked to retain the championship here. But yeah, not a lot of people were happy about it. And like I said, I joked with Dalyxman Alex on a super chat, and basically when I humorously put that super chat out, and he did his response to it. Yeah, it's like I said, it all depends on who they bring over booking wise and creatively for these kind of shows, because they're not going to bring out everybody unless it's like an actual pay-per-view on U.S. soil or something. So, but yeah, Becky ended up getting the upper hand on Charlotte in the post-match brawl, and then it was announced later on that they will meet one more time, and basically I would assume first chapter was SummerSlam, second chapter was the third chapter, and about the fourth chapter of this rivalry, they'll meet at SmackDown Live once again for the title, which I would assume will main event the show. And if they're promoting it now, then I have a feeling Charlotte's going to probably end up regaining it, thus opening the door for Becky to win it back, possibly at Evolution. But here's the thing. It's like I said in my video, and I even mentioned this in a super chat, WWE doesn't think we understand the storylines from their point of view. It's like, a lot of us are justified in our criticization, or justified in our criticization or criticizing of the product and the storylines. And it's like WWE doesn't think we understand it, and we don't see it from their point of view. But you know what? That might be true. But when you've watched programming, stories, shows of all kinds that have these kind of elements in there, and you've been a fan like I have for a long time, you kind of see exactly what direction you should be going in and who you should be presenting as what. You know. So yeah, not a lot of people were happy about it, and like I said, it's like I mentioned in the video, and it's like I mentioned in that super chat I just talked about. You know, but because here's the thing: when you've been a fan as long as I have, and a fan as long as Alex has, and anybody else has, it's like you may not know the inner workings of what goes on in WWE or the wrestling business, but when you see how fans are reacting, you don't go against it, you go with it, and that's pretty much the truth. So yeah, that's enough on that. The next match I think was the Ikonics against Oscar and Naomi. I basically said this on Dalyxman's super chat, and I pretty much think it's a foregone conclusion. All they have to do is announce it maybe on Monday or Tuesday or whenever. But I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're getting women's tag team championships because one thing that Renee Young, who was doing commentary, along with Michael Cole and Corey Graves. The one thing she said during the entrance for Naomi and Asuka was they're her favorite tag team. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, favorite tag team? So, yeah. Basically, I think it's just a foregone conclusion. We're getting those championships soon. I mean, they introduced the Ikonics as a team. They didn't just say Billy Ray or Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. They said Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. The Ikonics, and yeah, the Ikonics were over here. In Australia, they were over, and the match was okay. The match was all right. In the end, the Iconics ended up winning by pinning Naomi. They hit the finisher, which is, I don't know what they call it. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like when I don't know if it's Billy Kay or Peyton Royce holds up the opponent, and then either Billy or Peyton hits a knee to the head. So whatever it is, it's effective. So yeah, the Iconics win, and they were basically over as baby faces here. They they even had a moment to where during the match where they were acting like superheroines, going iconic, and it's like, okay, so so overall the match was all right. The right women went over, but I think honestly with them getting this win and the rumor of women's tag team championships, I think the Iconics are going to be. I do agree with Alex that the Iconics are going to walk out with those tag team titles if they do it. However they do it, whether it's a mini tournament or something, they're going to walk out with those SmackDown tag team titles, or not SmackDown, but those women tag team titles. And I think honestly, when it comes to that, I think it could be a blessing because that could be the first step in expanding the women's division all across all three brands, whether it's that being Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. So yeah, Iconics win here, and I think it's all but confirmed we're going to get women's tag team championships in the future. So yeah, Iconics win that one. Then we get another tag team match. Again, if I'm out of order, I do apologize, but we get another one. It's John Cena, Lashley against Owens, and Kevin Owens and Elias. I don't know what they're doing here with Elias and Owens. Maybe they just don't have much to do for them, and they decide, hey, let's just put them as a tag team. Well, some people may not agree with that, but hey, if you're gonna try to rebuff your tag team division, sometimes odd pairings come out of nowhere. I mean, you can't really do Owens and Zayn right now because Sami Zayn's on the shelf, and knowing WWE, they'll bring Sami Zayn back as a babyface and have him feud against Owens. I don't know. Anyway, though, the match was all right. A lot of people did, kind of pick up on John Cena's hairdo has grown out into a politician-like style, kind of reminiscing of. I kind of look at it like it's reminiscing of John Cena when he first came on the scene and all that back in the early 2000s, in the mid 2000s, I should say. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Um, Overall, the match was okay. Lashley worked most of it. Cena did get the tag. He got in there, did his not 5 but 6 moves of doom. His shoulder tackles, his power bomb, his 5 knuckle shuffles, attitude adjustment, and then he hit his 6th move of doom, which was the Shurisaki or something like that. It's some kind of Mandarin like maneuver he learned from Jackie Chan because he's filming the Project X movie with Jackie Chan in China, which is why John has been tweeting out, YouTubing, Instagramming videos and pictures of him in China right now. And yeah, they win, and I expect John's going to be back with the company in sort of a not a full time but semi full time basis, probably by the beginning of the year because knowing WWE, with the Royal Rumble at Chase Field in Phoenix and then WrestleMania and all that, then they're going to want Cena as a part of those events, especially if the Rumble is going to be in a stadium-like environment. So I expect John Cena to be back in time for those, and I'm going to flat out say it. I think 2019, he's going to still compete semi full time, but then mostly semi time, more part time than semi full. But don't be surprised if 2019 John Cena becomes a 17-time champion. I think WWE, Vince McMahon, they see the writing on the wall, and Vince McMahon, he's gonna want to definitely have John be known as his greatest champion. So what better way to do that than to have him eclipse Ric Flair for most reigns as world champion? So yeah, John then got on the mic, did a promo, saying that he was thankful to be there and that WWE is his home, and he doesn't know what the future holds. But I think we pretty much know, like I said, where he's gonna end, what's gonna end up happening come 2019. But overall, the match was good, and Cena and Lashley went over. So yeah, Cena and Lashley win that one. And then we get AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, which, quite frankly, I will be in agreement was probably one of the matches of the night because these guys, honestly, I don't know why Here's the thing. Here's what frustrates I think a lot of us. Why does it take so long for WWE to say, you know what? Let's just let these guys go. Let them do their thing. They trust each other. They know what they're doing. And they showed that here. They pulled out all the stops. I mean, this match was a brawl from start to finish. The way it started wasn't even in the ring. Joe comes out first, and he's standing at ringside, and he turns around as soon as AJ's music hits. Then AJ, he comes out, but he doesn't do his typical entrance that he does. No, he just walks out, saunters out, takes off his ring jacket, kind of stops at the top of the ramp right, or the entranceway, takes off his ring jacket, takes out the WWE Championship, lays it down, starts power walking and then running right towards Joe, and that's how the match starts. And overall, again, I don't know why WWE never let these guys go all at it, beforehand, because, they've known each other for 20 plus years. They can trust each other to know what they're going to do. And these guys tore it up like they should have. Like they always could. Was it the kind of caliber that you would see from the matches in Impact Wrestling, TNA? No. But still, it was good. It was probably one of the best matches you're going to get out of them, as far as WWE goes. They used chairs, they used tables. In fact, there was one spot where they used a table, and basically Joe got driven through it a la electric chair by AJ, and he must have sprained or popped something. He said he heard something pop, but maybe he was just playing possum. I don't know, but he instantly grabbed his right thigh, so he must have bruised something or sprained something or pulled something. Overall, the match was good. There were several times that Joe would counter a maneuver by AJ into the Kakita clutch, and there were times that yeah, but like I said, don't know why they didn't, but like I said, the match was good, and I don't know why they never let them go all this far and trust what they can do, because they know each other. In the end, though, like I said, Joe obviously sprained something, and they capitalized on it, or they allowed AJ to capitalize on it, and AJ ended up winning by submission with the calf crusher, and so yeah, AJ retains, but I don't think this is the end of the match. Not the match, but I don't think this is the end of the rivalry or the feud. I think this is just like another bump, another step, because I mentioned it best during Dalyxman's live streaming review, review stream, I should say. I said it best during Alex's live review stream. I said basically, Survivor Series, you're gonna get a 4-way. You're gonna get a 4-way for the WWE Championship. So expect that. So after that match, we ended up getting the Cruiserweight Championship between Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy. This was good. This was a really good match. Both men, Buddy Murphy started off hot. He hit basically a running knee on Cedric, which you thought, oh my God, is it going to be a quick match? No. They continued after that. It got towards like the halfway mark when they started to really pick up a lot. It's not saying they weren't picking up right off right off the bat, but they really, really got going in the midway of this match. And as short as it was, it felt like it went longer than what people are saying it did. In the end, Murphy ends up kicking out of the lumbar check, and then towards the end, and then just a bit later, he hits the Murphy's Law and wins the Cruiserweight Championship. So yeah, Buddy Murphy is now the Cruiserweight Champion. Throughout the match, they acknowledged how Cedric Alexander had basically gone unblemished since he's been the champ for most of the year and since WrestleMania, but now that's all changed. But yeah, Buddy Murphy wins. He was over like Rover, if you will, in this, at the MCG in Melbourne, and yeah, he's the new champion, but I don't think he's going to have it for long. I really don't. I think either on an upcoming edition, maybe not this week, but the following week, I think within a week's time, he's going to defend against Cedric again, or he's going to defend at Crown Jewel against Cedric. And as much as I hate to say this, he's going to end up losing. He's going to end up losing the belt back to Cedric. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's the same thing with the Ikonics. The only reason they won and the only reason Buddy Murphy won is all three of them are from Australia. Like I said, all three are from Australia, and you want to send the crowd home happy in some way, or have them, have something, basically have that crowd go home saying that, hey, our hometown people won, that, have them go home happy knowing that. And again, that's the only reason, the Ikonics and Buddy won their matches, because they're from Australia, they're from Melbourne or Sydney. So you want to send the crowd home happy, that's what you do. You let the home country people win. Because I think WWE probably feared that if they didn't, the crowd might sour. But who knows? And give it to WWE. They had typically on 3 heels outside of Australia played up as major baby faces. So they might go down that route, to where when you go to a superstar's home country or even hometown, they're a babyface. Elsewhere, they're a heel. So that might be a good thing. But yeah, I think Buddy Murphy's going to end up losing the championship back to Cedric, either within a few weeks' time on 205 Live or at WWE Crown Jewel. I really think that's going to happen. And I think the Ikonics are going to lose a rematch to Oscar and Naomi probably this week or at SmackDown 1000. So, but yeah, the match was good, and congratulations to Buddy Murphy. But I'm not trying to sour on it, but I don't think Buddy's going to have it for much longer. I think he might just have it for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and that's about it. So yeah, that match. So yeah, again, congratulations to Buddy Murphy on the championship win. Then we got Ronda and the Ronda. Then we got Ronda Rousey and the Bella Twins against the Riot Squad. It was okay. The teasing already some tension between Nikki and Ronda, but I don't know where they're going to go with it. Some people are thinking, I think like Solomonster, Jason Solomon, doesn't think they're going to turn Nikki heel, but you never know. Even if you have Total Bellas and Total Divas on the E network, doesn't mean they won't turn Nikki heel. They did this when Nikki was feuding with Brie. Remember that, and both shows were still on the air. So, or were currently on the air at the time. So, I expect Nikki to possibly turn or somewhat turn, and what I mean by somewhat, kind of, I would say kind of have like I wouldn't say friendly rivalry, but sort of a, like, fiery rivalry or something like that. Basically, it's like, probably she'll challenge Ronda and say, hey, let me face you, let me see if I can do what no one else has done so far, or something happens. I mean, I propose the fact that they might do a battle royal, but, maybe Nikki wins that, but we'll have to wait, find out. I know not a lot of people are looking forward to Nikki and Ronda if that happens. I mean, I'd rather see Ronda against Stephanie McMahon. It's a better selling point. But yeah, the match was okay. You can definitely tell that they're building up Logan and Morgan and Riot, not just as a trio and a tag team, when they introduced the women's tag team titles, but also individually. In the end, Ronda gets the hot tag, and she ends up winning the match by putting both Logan and Morgan in a double armbar. And what happens is, and hopefully they play this up on television, because this is getting too... you're making your women, even your established women wrestlers, or up-and-coming women wrestlers, you're making them look like idiots. You're making them look like, dummies, if you will. Or, what's the old saying, dumb blondes. No offense on that. Dumb blondes, or whatever. Because there's a moment in the match where Logan and Morgan both double-team Ronda. They get her down, and they start acting just a bit cocky. And it's like, when are these women going to learn? You cannot get cocky around Ronda, because what's that going to do? It's going to wake her up, and she's just going to beat your ass. And that's exactly what happens. She grabs them both by the arm. She both flips them over, puts them in a double armbar. Both tap out. Ronda, Nikki, and Brie win the match. So, yeah, it was okay. And however they get to Nikki and Ronda, if that's what they're still going to do, I don't want to have to say it's going to be a heel turn. I want it to be somewhat like it's somewhat like a intense, friendly rivalry. Something along the lines of maybe a Brie Stephanie. Even though I'd rather see Ronda against Stephanie, because that makes more sense. But yeah, they end up winning, and we go on from there. So yeah, that was that match. Then we get later on, we get Daniel Bryan and The Miz. I know a lot of people don't like how the outcome of this happened, even though it was the right outcome. But yeah, it was short and sweet. Miz started the match out aggressively, dominated a little bit. Daniel Daniel started to make a comeback, started to hit the yes kicks, I should say. The yes kicks, if you will. Until he missed going for Miz's head, because Miz ducked. And he blocked it. Both went for running knees, but Miz was able to hit his variation of it first and almost get the win. And then as Miz is going for the skull-crushing finale, Daniel wraps him up in a small package and becomes champion. not becomes champion, but becomes the number one contender to the WWE Championship. So now at Crown Jewel, instead of SmackDown 1000 and Survivor Series, but instead at Crown Jewel, it will be Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. From what I understand, the reason they let Daniel do the small package was one of the reasons the match was short is they were stressed for time. But the other reason was the fact that they wanted, since they're going in the direction of Daniel and AJ for Crown Jewel, they wanted to play on the history, I think, between the two, of Daniel being able to win a match with any maneuver he can, with any kind of option that he has, besides just his regular running knee or yes lock or whatever, that he could win it in any fashion. In this case, it is the small package. And I think, people's reaction is, one of, okay, that was unexpected, didn't expect the match to end that quick, okay. But I think later on they did kind of like, I think the one thing people are forgetting is that even though the initial shock was, that's it, the match is over, Daniel won, that's how it's going to end, I think what some people are forgetting that afterwards, fans, even though after the initial shock of how quick the match was and how it ended, that's when the realization was, oh, wait a minute, Daniel won. We're going to get Daniel AJ. So, yeah, we're going to get Daniel and AJ at Crown Jewel for the championship, which I don't think, honestly, it's going to be a good match. But yeah, Daniel ends up winning with a small package. But like I said, I think the reason they did that, according to what I understand, is they're trying to play up on the past between Styles and Daniel. And like I said, that Daniel can win with any variation of moves and moves and stuff. And I think the one that really, even Daniel tweeted this out. He said, "Hello, old friend," or "Hello, Mr. Small Package." Basically, it's a move he used to use on the Indies in ROH, especially against guys like AJ. So, yeah, I guess they're going to be playing that up now, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that match is scheduled for Crown Jewel. But as I was trying to say, I don't think it's going to be, I mean, it'll be a good match, there's no doubt, but I don't think we're going to get a decisive winner, because I think what's going to happen as we build towards it in the next couple of weeks, alongside some of the matches being built for Evolution, is Miz and Joe are going to intervene throughout. And during the match, they're probably going to interfere, and that will lead to, like, say, a fatal four-way at Survivor Series for the championship. So yeah, I know a lot of people weren't too happy, but I think as soon as they realized, oh, Daniel won, that's pretty much when you got the pop that you heard. Then we have the six-man tag team match between basically the Shield and the Dogs of War, the Pack, that being Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. Match was good. It started off basically almost like a typical Shield-like attack on their opponents. But one thing I will give credit for, even though I haven't watched as much, I will give WWE credit. It's probably the only good thing that's coming out of this angle, this rivalry, this feud. And that is, you have a team in the Dogs of War that pretty much are prepared for anything the Shield has up their sleeve. Like, right before the match starts, you have the Shield basically taking out the Dogs of War and getting ready to do the Shield powerbomb through a table on Strowman, but Dolph and Drew are there to intercept just in time. So I'll give them credit that they have found a team that kind of can equal up to what the Shield is capable of, and at times will stay a step ahead of them. The match was okay. I mean, they did tease dissension a little bit, or try to tease dissension between Dean and Roman and Seth, because there was a moment towards the end of the match where Drew McIntyre was hanging on the ropes, and then he kind of ducked out of the way of a Roman Reigns Superman punch. So yeah, that kind of caused a little bit of not dissension, but it caused a lot of people to wonder exactly what was going to be the result of that. because we got a moment right at the end where it's kind of a la Shield, if you will, but instead you have Seth and Roman in the middle of the ring, and you have the Dogs of War, Strowman's, McIntyre, and Ziggler on three-thirds of the ring, or three-fourths of the ring, and on the other side you have Dean, and you're thinking, Dean might finally turn. He doesn't. He gets in the ring and he drop kicks Strowman off. Basically, just one thing leads to another, and we get towards the end of the match, to where Strowman, and I'll give this match credit. They made Strowman look like $1 million here. They made him look dominant. They made him look like a guy that didn't even need Ziggler and McIntyre to be there with him as a part of his team, that he could basically destroy the Shield on his own. So there was towards the end of the match where Dean was up on the barricade and Strowman was going to get ready to charge at him and knock him through, and you just hear Renee basically saying, I can't watch this, because in real life Dean is her husband. So anyway, Roman is able to intercept Strowman and spear him through the barricade, so they're out of the equation, and the end basically comes when McIntyre and Ziggler try to go for the combo Claymore zigzag finisher. Seth comes in, super kicks Drew out of the ring, and this is enough for for Dean to counter Ziggler into the Dirty Deeds, and the Shield end up winning. So yeah, the Shield have the momentum. Roman has momentum going into Crown Jewel, and we'll see where they go from there. I know Solomonster and several others felt that it'd be better if Braun got the pin on Roman in this match, given that momentum. But Jason is right about one thing. You still have plenty of time before Crown Jewel on Raw, possibly, to do that, and maybe even SmackDown 1000. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Shield end up winning the match. And the Dean Ambrose possible heel turn has to wait for another day, but it looks like we might be getting a Ziggler babyface turn or something. I know that sounds strange, but we might be getting a Ziggler babyface turn, or maybe this is, if Ziggler is going to be leaving the company soon, maybe this is the first step or the second step in him being removed from the equation. So we'll have to wait and see. So finally we get the main event, which was Triple H with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker with Kane. And look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It wasn't one of the better matches. It was okay. It was decent. But being a fan as long as I have, and being a fan as long as I have, just like the Schleg Daddy at OTRS Central has, and many others. Look, sometimes the in-ring portion of the match, sometimes it may not be the best, and that's true, especially when somebody gets older. But what really sells a conflict and a rivalry and a feud like this is the storytelling. And not just the storytelling that leads into it, but the storytelling in the match. And that is one thing that Triple H and Undertaker have been able to do in their matches that they've had, especially in the most recent years. They've been able to tell stories, even if their matches aren't that good. They've been able to tell stories that really captivate the audience, get people intrigued, invested, and make them want to see more. That is why people were chanting, "This is awesome," during the match. It wasn't because, the match is awesome because they're wrestling a great match and they're putting on unbelievable maneuvers and all that. No. It was awesome because they had a respect for the storytelling that was being told in this match. The storytelling of, could Triple H finally conquer the one demon that he hasn't been able to conquer in the past several years, and that's be Undertaker one-on-one on a stage this big. And yeah, these guys did a lot more, physically in the ring than we thought. They went outside of the ring and into the crowd, which was a surprise. So yeah, they did. So yeah, there was some moments during the match they did some things to each other that you didn't think they'd probably do, but hey, when you have Triple H play up the fact that, hey, you're right, Undertaker, I am a CEO of this company, or the COO of this company, I'm going to flaunt it right now by saying this match is not regular one-on-one anymore, it's no disqualification, which is a good direction to go in to hide any flaws or degradations, if you will, with all due respect to the two, but any flaws or degradations or whatever, it's a good maneuver, and it does tell a better story, especially with these kind of two men. And you could tell that throughout the night, or throughout the match, especially towards the end. But yeah, overall, the match quality, in-ring, wrestling and all that may have not been the best, like we seen earlier throughout the night. But overall, the storytelling, I think, is what really helped sell it. And I think that's one thing a lot of people have to understand, especially fans that are more into the wrestling, which isn't a bad thing. It isn't a bad thing. Heck, I'm getting to like what's going on with Impact Wrestling. I'm getting to like what's going on with things like All In and MLW, Major League Wrestling, and and even ROH has grabbed my interest, and even New Japan. The in-ring style really gets you excited. The in-ring abilities, wrestling abilities, and all that really get you hyped. But to me, the storytelling, when it comes to certain matches involving certain individuals, especially those of a Triple H and an Undertaker, I think that's what really sells it and really gets you invested. Because they know, obviously, they won't be able to do what a lot of these guys nowadays do. But they know that there's one thing they can do a lot better than they do, with all due respect, and that's tell a great story that will keep you captivated and keep you interested and invested throughout. And that's what they did here, just like they've done before. So, overall, the match quality in-ring wise may have not been the best, even outside of the ring may have not been the best, but storytelling wise, I think really sold it. And that's what really matters, especially at the end, because Triple H won thanks to help with Shawn Michaels. Thanks to help by Shawn Michaels, Triple H did win. It looked like we had a curtain call moment at the end. You had the pyro going off, but then almost immediately, and I will say this one little botch is on Michael Cole's part. It's almost by a second, but almost by a millisecond or a second, but Michael Cole kind of jumped the gun when we got the sudden betrayal, as he calls it, or heel turn, as some people pointed out, of Taker and Kane on Shawn Michaels and Triple H, because suddenly it's like it's like they don't even do anything for about a moment, and Michael Cole's just suddenly saying, "Oh my gosh," just shocked about what hasn't even happened for about a second. But yeah, Triple H gets laid out. But yeah, Taker looks at Kane, Kane looks at Taker, and they both basically attack Shawn Michaels and Triple H afterwards. Triple H gets laid out with a tombstone. Shawn Michaels gets chokeslammed onto the announce table, and Undertaker and Kane end up leaving and ending the show looking dominant, which they did. So, despite how the in-ring portion may have been, I have to give him credit. This really, storytelling-wise, really kept you invested. And yes, we are going to get a tag match, and eventually we're probably going to get Michaels and Taker 3 at WrestleMania, if that's what it's leading towards. So overall, it was just a good match. Storytelling-wise, in-ring quality, outside the ring quality may have not been that great, but storytelling-wise, I thought was good. So, but yeah, was this? So yeah, overall, was this a glorified house show? In a sense, it was, but I can't really say yay or nay on whether or not it was the better of the glorified house shows. Because yeah, we only had one title change, and that was Buddy Murphy. But like I said, they were in Australia, so they had to do it. And I already gave my thoughts on that. So overall, was it good? Was it a decent show? Yeah, it was alright. It was better than I would assume the Greatest Royal Rumble was, and even the Beast in the East. So overall, it was okay. So That's really all I'm gonna say on it, guys. But those are just my thoughts on Super Showdown. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm sure a lot of you have your own different opinions on it. And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.